Broker Bulletin acknowledges the traditional custodians of all the lands across the country on which we record our podcast and pays its respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the Broker Bulletin podcast, where better begins. Join us as we chat with brokers about what's working for them, what drives them, and the real challenges and wins that matter most right now.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Broker Bulletin. I'm Leigh Tsoumerkas, and today it's a pleasure of mine to be joined by the great man and business owner who's just recently been crowned Diversified Brokerage of the Year at the Australian Broker Awards, Shubham Bhaskar. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leigh. Thanks for having me. I'm really pleased to be here.
Tell us, how does it feel?
Great. Thank you, Leigh.
I hope I was one of the first to ring you and congratulate you.
You actually were. I was actually still, soaking it all in. And I don't know how this telepathy work, and I don't know how these signals work, Leigh. But I was still standing by my table and still going through all my messages and all that. Letting most important people know, like my mum and my wife and my mentor and things like that. So, and all of a sudden I get a call from Leigh, and I'm like, oh mate, this is Godspeed. How did you actually find out about this?
Well, I think we might touch on that a little bit later, but yeah, awesome. I think our part of the DNA and what I always talk about at Loan Market is around connection and feeling part of something. And, I've got I care. We talk about care factor. And I think by even then, the amount of love that I had from other people for you was a testament to what the person you are, most importantly. And I know you do a lot in the background for a lot of people as well. So congratulations again.
No, thank you, Leigh. I really, really appreciate it, mate. Really appreciate it.
Talk us through the journey and how you got to Sheel Capital.
8 years in Westpac, 7 years and 10 months. So not quite 8, but close to 8 years in Westpac. And I was basically doing commercial lending mainly. But I had a little stint in private bank. So mainly dealing with high net worth individuals and helping them with their debt restructure and also finding the best solutions for them. Westpac was a really, really awesome learning ground for me. I absolutely loved my time at Westpac, and it was actually one of the hardest decisions, to be honest, just to leave Westpac. I think, people still ask me what's been the hardest for you since you've decided to become a business owner, and I reckon, hand on heart, the hardest decision was to actually put my resignation, because I was working in a really, really good team. I had an awesome boss, Greek as well. Say something about the Greeks, but awesome boss. Just to say bye to my team was the hardest. But anyway, we had to do that because the plan and the dream was always to have a business, a thriving business. I come from a business family from back in India as well. So, and I'm here by myself, So the biggest thing for myself was, if I'm away from my family, if I'm sacrificing my time and if I'm actually, trying to build a life here in Australia, I better give it a solid crack. Better give it a crack and really make something out of that. So hence why having a business was the most important thing. Started the business in 2021. 26th of March 2021 was my last day at Westpac. Started the business shortly after that. Accreditations and all that kind of stuff took 4 or 5 weeks, and then we started writing the deals. And given that, my texture of lending was always diversified, because as a commercial portfolio manager, you were basically looking after a business, and in that business, you're writing their home loans, you're writing their business loans, you're writing their asset finance, you're writing invoice finance, you're writing, you have to basically make yourself aware of all different types of financial instruments that the banks can offer. And then you basically go out to the business with that suite and you go, okay, this is what we can offer. Where do you need help? So I attracted that kind of customer from day one. So I basically, started looking out for the commercial finance, looking out for the residential finance, and the rest of it. And it seems like it was yesterday, but it's been 4 years.
Wow. And what a 4 years it's been. You mentioned around, taking the leap. I think we talk about having belief in what you do, surrounding yourself with the mentors you spoke about there. And, we talk about Grant Rubin. I know that he's a dear friend and a dear mentor for all of us. You talk about giving it a crack, but in 4 years, you've had such I would describe as a successful tenure period, especially. But can you explain to us, what does success look like today, and probably what does it look like for Sheel Capital and you in 3 years' time, for example?
I actually was hit with a real deep reflection on the night of actually receiving the award, I'll be honest to you. My family didn't actually fly with me to the awards because I actually didn't think that I'm going to win it, because we had some really heavy hitters as nominees. The biggest businesses of the aggregators, including LMG, and you had like the biggest of Connective, the biggest of AFG and things like that. So I was like, I've got no chance of winning this. I was sitting in the hotel and I was like, what's actually constituted to this win? And I reckon it's definitely not a one-man job, I feel like Grant's played a big role in this, the fact that he actually gives 1 hour of his very precious time per month for me to be able to talk to him and, put on the table what I'm sort of going through right now, where I need his help and things like that. Where he really adds value is he's got the years behind him, right? So I can't get that from textbooks. I can't get that from information videos from YouTube, for example. So the fact that I've got him in my business is absolutely fantastic. And he does that from the goodness of his heart, which is fantastic as well. LMG, like Annie's support, your support in the business, where I can basically just lift a call and be like, hey guys, I'm going through this right now. Can you please help me? And can you please tell me what I should be doing here? I've been a part of a aggregation model where I don't have that kind of, sort of proactive support. The fact that I have it now, I know that I can just sort of, get through some hurdles that can become big in a very short span of time. So those things really sort of make a big difference. And I feel like, reflecting over my journey, I feel like that's actually led to a lot of success. You asked me what does success look like in, 3, 4, 5 years time. I reckon success for me looks like continuing to do what I'm doing right now with a bit of bigger impact. We've done the volume with me just being one broker in the business. I feel like we're actually now at a point where we actually need to start sort of employing more brokers so I can actually start sort of writing bigger volumes with them rather than just doing it by myself. We did 165 million odd last year. And I feel like, and at that time I actually felt like, I think it's time that we actually start employing more people so they can actually also get a piece of the pie. At the same time, we can actually, the time that I actually save for myself, I actually go out and service more clients and give them more sort of, good value from our side.
Something out there, people go, how many people, does Shubs employ? And
yeah.
So how big is his team?
Yeah, so we've got a very small, humble team. We're actually only, so apart from me, I've got 2 here onshore and I've got 1 offshore. We are now in a big hiring spree, as you know. We've got someone that we've been talking to sort of come in and join as a broker, and we're quite happy to say that he has basically agreed to the fact that he actually wants to come on and work for Sheel Capital. So that will see us to be, sort of 3 or 4 onshore now. And on top of that, we actually also want to hire more support staff, because we've got ambitious goals and we want to be able to, we don't want to sacrifice in service. Or compromise in service, I must say. So we want to be able to make sure that there's enough support staff on the ground that can look after us, our clients on a day-to-day.
Well, you talked about that. I know, you've got the great Taylor looking after you in regards to our, we talk about growth, and that's one of our core promises at Loan Market.
And look, Taylor has been instrumental, in terms of sort of helping us with finding the right candidates and putting them in front of us. Obviously, what happens with the candidates is every business has got their own style, and our style obviously is that we want to be able to make sure that we're bringing the gun in the team, because we cannot compromise with our customer service, and we want to make sure that we actually, sort of bring on the right person who understands our clientele, who understands our deals, because our deals are not sort of first-time buyers. Our deals are more sort of investment class and more sophisticated investors that are sort of looking at not just one property, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 properties. We do loans from sort of, $500,000 all the way up to around $30, $35 million in one transaction. So we want to bring on someone that's not going to be overwhelmed with these things. And that's what we have found, as a business, that, we've got some CSMs that have sort of come into the business and they sort of look at the quality of a file and the volume of the file and they go, oh, Jesus, this is actually not what we're used to. And it is a bit overwhelming for a lot of people. So we want to make sure that we actually put in the right people in our business.
People they talk about diversification and people go, oh my God, I want to get resi right first. Yeah. I want to get commercial right. I want to be that. You talk about service, and I love it how you've put such a strong emphasis on service to your clients. Yeah. How do you keep the balance and how do you get it right, from service into diversification?
Yeah,
especially with such a small team?
So there's two words that you mentioned there, service and diversification. So I'll talk about both. Service is one thing that's probably the most important to us in our business. One thing that keeps me up at night is not what our pipeline looks like, not where we are at in the year, not anything. What keeps me up at night is if there's a client that's not happy with us, which is actually not very common at all. So we're pretty blessed with the clients that sort of, are very happy with us. And we sort of, talk and do business with the clients that are actually sort of, our flavor clients. They understand that we're providing a solution, and they sometimes understand. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer than you sort of fetching a first home buyer product or first time investor product. So, we have to sort of involve our village to be able to find a solution for them. Like a village could mean their accountant, the right banker in the bank. It could mean not just one bank, but maybe 3 or 4 banks that can sort of come together to be able to find the right balance for them. So like service for me encompasses all of that. And that's why we call ourselves, if you're doing business with Sheel Capital, you're in good company. That's the most important thing. But because we are actually adding all those ingredients in our service, we are attracting clients that want to do more than residential, right? So like we are attracting clients who have been investing for, 3, 4, 5 years. They've seen really good equity returns in their properties. And now they're looking at their financials and they're going, oh, well, we've actually capped out at residential. So what do we do? Like we're not really wanting to stop our investing journey. We want to be able to actually invest more. And that's when they come to us and they'll be like, hey, we've got this property portfolio. We want to actually go out and buy a commercial property. What can you do for us? Do you have a deposit ready to go? No, we don't have a deposit ready to go, which is when we actually have a look at their total finances and we actually have a look at their loans. And then we say, okay, why don't we get some equity release here for you to be able to use that money towards a commercial property? And then they actually go out, engage a buyer's advocate, or actually go out by themselves to go and buy a commercial property. And we write the commercial loan for them as well. That way we are sort of, talking and looking after their overall financial health.
Yeah. You talked about sort of information and getting the best out of the clients and, giving them the best options. When you first sort of started, like even at the new, or not the new premises, but obviously where you are today, you talk about education. Like you were so big on education. I know that you still are. How did that help you and your business?
Yeah, I mean, look, all the eyeballs right now are on social media, right? Like that's why we're doing this at the moment. Like no one's really like looking up the newspapers these days in the morning with a cup of coffee in their hand. People are not even leaving their bed and they've got they've clocked half an hour, 45 minutes of scrolling. So like it is important for us to be able to get out and put ourselves out there. I'm not the best person to say this because like obviously business has become busy and we're sort of, tight on the resources right now. And because of that, I've sort of slipped a little bit as well, but we've got a plan that I've discussed with you as well, which we're actually sort of putting in place. And we're actually now, rolling out a strategy for not just 2 or 3 months, but we're rolling out a social media strategy for the next year and 2 years. And I'll put aside an investment for that. So it is important for us to be able to do that. I saw a lot of benefit of putting ourselves out there. Like you may be talking, there's a lot of content out there, right? Like you may be talking not a lot of value, but the fact that you're actually in front of the camera, the fact that you're in front of, you're actually in front of people in their social media feeds makes a big difference. And, they're constantly seeing you. Like I actually get a lot of messages about the podcast. These are really good quality customers that are coming to me and asking me about podcast. And that makes me really happy because I'm like, oh, well, you know what? Like sometimes whilst I'm doing it, the preparation that actually goes into it, sometimes I'm thinking that it's probably not really worth it, but hey, people are listening.
Well, I was there and thank you. You're very good with your time and giving back. And I remember being there at one of your events. Yeah. The room was full of people, full admiration for you. And I think you just got a sense of they belonged to Sheel Capital. Yeah. And I know that plays a big part in you and I'm actually immensely proud. Talk to me, how does how do you keep building on that? And
yeah, I mean, I think like one big thing for us is that we are selective as well to a point. Like, you know, if we get a client that's just a rate shopper, I've had instances where I actually said, no, I don't think you're the right fit for us. So like we're actually talking to clients that sort of, you know, do match our culture and match what we do. And they actually do respect what we actually do for them as well. And in all the hard work that we sort of do for them behind the scenes, like 9 out of 10 customers see it. And they go, Shubham works really hard for us to be able to get the deal that we want, right? Like, for example, we had a deal which we've currently got with Bankwest, and obviously it's not really meeting the policy. And we have a Monday meeting on our pipeline with the whole team, and like we sort of sit down and we see what deal's stuck, what deal's not stuck, and like how can we actually sort of keep it moving, keep it fluid. This deal has been sort of coming up for a long time. I was like, you know what, I'll just make a few calls and I'll see if I can find the solution somewhere else. And I called Apollo LMG this morning, and straight away they're like, yeah, I think we can actually get this deal done. Like this is what we've actually got for. We've already got all the documents anyway for the clients. So I told Vanita from Apollo and Nick, I was like, hey, this is what we actually got. Can you actually get this deal done for us? And they were like, oh, look, from the face value, actually looks like it's a transaction for us. The customer is currently in Europe. It was at 10 o'clock in Victoria, in Melbourne. So I knew that, like, you know, he's in Rome right now. So it's probably like, you know, sometime in the evening, I'll probably give him a call right now and I can just talk to him. I was excited. I was like, hey, you know what, man, I'm just going to give you a call straight away. Called the customer, told him that, hey, we've actually got this deal accepted. I've done the workshop and I think it should be okay. Good to go. Are you happy to start writing the transaction for us? And he was like, yeah, we're happy to go straight away. I was like, well, this is great. You know, like, and we often pride ourselves in saying, like, we've got 98% conversion rate, not only, but like we've only got 2% non-converted rate. And like we take a lot of pride in that. And when the customers see that even though one bank has said no, and we have not sort of, you know, thrown the towel in, and we're still trying to find a bank that's going to do work for them, they reward us, and they reward us with their trust. They reward us with their loyalty. They don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, mate, I've seen it firsthand, and and I think you always go the extra mile, and you know, I've definitely seen you do that, and so talking about that as well, like. Just talked about working at 10 o'clock at night. I know you're a massive supporter of Best Interest Mates as well, and some of the work we do at LMG and Loan Market with mental health. How do you find the priority for your family and then business? And I guess, how do you find the balance? And I know you've gone away, you know. Can you tell us how do you navigate though?
You know, Leigh, like 4 years in the business, like one big thing that I've actually also come to realize is, I don't think I'm the best example of someone who's done it right from the family's point of view and from the health point of view. I think I've actually been sprinting for the last 4 years. You know, I'll be the first one to admit. And I think that's one thing that's a big thing of focus in my life at the moment. And that is the reason why I want to grow the team, and I want to sort of, you know, bring out or like, you know, develop leaders within Sheel Capital that are going to basically go out and do the work that we are sort of here for, instead of just doing all by myself. There's a lot of focus on, like, you know, now sort of finishing work at 5 o'clock on the dot, and like, you know, going and spending time with the family, and like being like just putting the phone off and all that. And it's not easy all the time, but I'm finding that it's not impossible either. I'm finding that it's actually like easy enough if you actually commit to it. And if you actually sort of create those boundaries, like, customers do understand that we've got a family. I've got a young family. I've got a 3-year-old. I've got a 1-year-old. Like, you know, it's important that we actually sort of, you know, give them the time as well. Also important for the health as well. You know, like, you know, the intense work all the time does sort of, you know, create a lot of cortisol in your body. You need time to unwind for the body to go again the next day. You know, you can't, like, even if you've got a Ferrari, for example, you can't just keep ramming the Ferrari at 160 kilometers per hour the whole time. You can't do that. You know, even though the car's made for it, the car's made for it, but the car's not going to be able to perform if you keep doing that to it. The car's going to break down. So we're like that as well. You know, we're like in the same way, like we gotta look after our body. It's not like I'm telling myself like every day, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
We've spoken about it. I know you support me through that, and we've spoken it some days. Let's just catch up for a coffee.
100%.
We talked about, obviously, resi, commercial asset. We've got a lot of brokers in our network, and they're looking to do the same thing. We talk about diversification. It really is the buzzword for us. What are your hints and tips for people looking to diversify and be a fully diversified broker like you are?
Yeah. So first thing that I'll probably say to them is don't be shy. Pick up the phone and talk to the brokers that are doing it well. Like the banks are only going to be able to help you so far. The banks are only going to be able to take it so far for you to be able to excel in a commercial loan, for example. Like the bankers and the banks are not there to educate you. The bankers and the banks are actually there to write deals and get the scores on the score on the scoreboard as well for themselves. So where you will find the most sort of assistance is within your network. Sort of reach out to the brokers that are doing well, talk to them, ask them as to how they are doing it and how they are able to sort of, put together some deals and actually sort of, find out which bank is the best for a certain kind of deal. Some banks will have a great policy for something, and some banks will actually not have the great policy for that one thing, just like residential, for example. So like cutting through that and knowing that you can actually do this with a certain bank will save them a lot of time. So that's very, very important. And the second thing is just don't be shy. Just don't be shy of writing diversified business. Don't be shy of writing commercial loans. Don't be shy of writing asset loans. You're not going to get it straight away. Like if you're a residential broker and that's what you're focused on the whole time, you're not going to get it straight away. But just know that it's compounding effect. If you keep doing it on a month-on-month basis, like let's say you can't get a deal done for the first 6 months, I can guarantee you in the next 6 months you will.
You will. And once you do the one, next one, and then you start, then that person tells them that you helped them.
Correct.
And absolutely. Domino effect there.
100%.
A little bit about, we're talking about loan market and how we've supported, and you've talked about Annie and myself, I appreciate that. But you obviously Scaly as well through the commercial Michael's through assets. So maybe, tell the audience as well and others that don't work with loan market how important it's been the last year and a half, especially for you and the business. And
I don't know what other partner businesses get from LMG, but the biggest thing that I get from LMG is probably camaraderie, like not just with the fellow brokers, but also with the people that are working within the loan market ecosystem. You mentioned Scaly's name, for example. Like Scaly is the head of commercial in loan market. Like the fact that I can just basically pick up the phone, talk to him, be invited to one of the events that he is sort of, organized and sort of go to that and have a great deep conversation with Scaly. Like that's awesome. What I'm getting from that conversation is the insight into the market, insights into what other top brokers are doing. And I don't know about other brokers, but I learned that way. That's my learning style. I learn from knowing what else is being done outside and what am I not doing right now in my business and how can I imbibe the same thing? So I get that a lot. And I get that from top brokers within the loan market group as well, which you guys do a great job in sort of bringing us all together and sort of, putting us in one room so we can go out and talk to these people and sort of get exchange ideas and things like that. Like, for example, you guys organized our Leaders and Legends lunch recently. I thought that was a great lunch, right? Because being a broker is a lonely life, you're just sort of sitting behind the computer, getting the deals done. Sometimes, getting great conversations with the banks, sometimes not so great conversations with the banks, right? You want to be able to go out and be able to share your sorrows and share your wins as well at the same time. So what you guys are doing in that way is fantastic. So keep doing it. I don't hear a lot of other aggregators doing the same way. I think they also organize a lot of sort of meetups and things like that, but I don't think the level of camaraderie and the level of intimacy that LMG is able to bring in is not being brought out by the people right now. That's what my assumption is.
As a leader of loan market in VIC, we work really hard to make sure that we got a really strong family connection.
Yeah.
And that's instilled as DNA from Sam and Ange and,
Correct.
behind the Loan Market brand.
Yeah, see where it's coming from,
Yeah, that's awesome. Right. To finish up and appreciate today, and again, you're very humble. You've been very successful in such a short time. I think taking away a little bit about, you can do it for a short time, but you've got to make changes. The platform, the foundation you've built, I'm really excited to see where Sheel Capital goes, not only this year and beyond. What's the biggest takeaway that you've had in the last probably 6 months as a learning, and also probably as something that you want to change in the next 6 months as well?
If you ask me that, I'll probably say, and this is like a line that gets repeated, so much around the commercial sort of ecosystem, I would say, don't hire when you need someone, hire in anticipation. And I think that's something that I've not done well in my business. I've actually always been the type where I've been like, when I need someone, I'm sure someone will come. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, even if I've got 3 FTE and one out of them are not doing anything at all, I know that I will bring enough business in the next 3 months to get this FTE firing. So that's what I've sort of, and I reckon that's the stage in our business as well, where I'm actually thinking a lot about this right now, like hiring the right person and things like that. So that's basically what comes in the top of the mind.
Yeah, I think that resource for growth has always been instilled in my mind.
Yeah.
It sounds easy.
It sounds easy, and like finding the right person is not easy. It's actually quite hard to find the right fit for the team. You're looking at culture, you're looking at skills, you're looking at how quick they are, especially if you sort of bring them for a support staff job. So there's a few things that you got to juggle at the same time, and you don't want to bring a bad egg into the team who's going to sort of destroy the culture. So it's important to actually bring someone very, 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 very good.
Talk about culture and the type of human being you are. I've mentioned a number of times. You do so much for your community as well. Do you want to give us to share a little bit about you giving back on it?
I never went to university. This is one of the things that's sort of quite close to my heart. Didn't have the right resources for us to be able to go to university for myself, because I came as an international student. To actually go to uni, you have to pay a full fee and all that kind of stuff. So I did a diploma in a TAFE, and after that, I didn't really sort of pursue any secondary education. So what we've actually done is we've actually found a charity which is currently building a university in India. In a beautiful part of India called Kerala, which a lot of people know, and it's a big tourist destination as well for a lot of Westerners sort of going out to India. This university is quite special because they're not just sort of pushing academia, but they're also pushing academia with value-based systems. So they're sort of bringing the Western and Eastern philosophy together, and sort of running courses like commerce, for example, with Eastern philosophy touch and the Western philosophy touch, and sort of bringing a more holistic approach to education. They're building a big campus in Kerala at the moment. So we've actually been quite, fortunate to be able to contribute whatever we could from our side. So in the last 2 years, we've actually given away $50,000, which we're pretty proud of. We want to be able to give away another 50 in the next sort of 12 months. We feel really privileged because every time you sort of, send your contributions to this university, they actually send you a list of students that have actually got this scholarship from our contributions, and they actually give you a full profile of these people to make sure they're actually giving the scholarship to the most deserving candidate. And that's actually quite a humbling thing to sort of, see that in front of you, and you go, from your efforts, you're actually going out and you're able to provide positive contribution to the community, which is what we're here for. We can be making millions and things like that, but at the end of the day, if we can't really have something more than success, which is significance, if we can't have significance through our success, it's is it really worth it?
I think talk about legacy, and we've spoken about it. We want to be the best humans and best fathers, and we want to know that our kids, when they wake up, we've left a great legacy behind. And I know that winning an award, and it's, we talk about this award just recently, but you've won others. But in the background, I know that deep down, there's more to life, and you want to give more back than just the money or that sort of thing. So I think overall, I keep saying not only you're an amazing broker, but you're an amazing human. And it's, I'm pretty proud. And I sit here with you, and how proud I am, watching you grow as a person, as a business owner as well. Just lastly, again, Sheel Capital, it's ready. Awards are important to you. Are we going to see more of Sheel in these upcoming awards? Or
yeah, I mean, hopefully, if we keep doing the right things in our business, and if we keep doing the right things by our customers, I'm sure that we'll be fortunate to lift more trophies like this. Obviously, the competition is quite fierce out there, and there's a lot of brokers doing really, really good things in the market. So, it's always sort of, whilst it's always great to see other brokers doing well and things like that, we obviously also want to be able to do the same things, learn from them, and sometimes do it better. That's the pursuit. And I think that pursuit sort of, keeps us on our toes, and we actually always try to sort of keep doing better things in our business.
Absolutely. At Broker Bulletin, as you mentioned before, it's about, finding those 1% improvements that lead to big wins. And as you mentioned before, you've probably heard these Broker Bulletins before, and you've got something out of it as well. So thank you. Appreciate taking the time, as I mentioned. There's big things coming at Sheel Capital, and I think as the Victorian market sort of, turns and...
Yeah, hopefully soon.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. There's obviously a fair amount of sort of dialogue happening outside of this room, and most brokers that we're actually talking to, they're all saying that Victoria is quite quiet at the moment. And I'm really hoping that market sort of does turn in the next sort of 6 months. I've actually, in the last 4 years, I think this is the first time I'm actually sort of, seeing it with my eyes. And I'm like, yes, it's not nice to see that about our own state, especially, in sort of interstate conferences that you guys organize. We actually go out and meet brokers from Queensland or from Adelaide and things like that. And you go, and they're absolutely firing it. And you go, far out, we're not seeing that kind of same sentiment in Victoria. And I really hope that changes. So hopefully we'll see some good change coming through.
One last thing. What's the one thing every day that you do, something small that impacts and gets the performance you do?
Affirmations. So I've got an affirmation that I sort of say to myself every single day, 5 times in front of my God. So
beautiful, mate. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
My biggest takeaway from this is that obviously consistency, we speak about that. Diversification, it's probably the way forward. I understand that there's many brokers in our industry that want to purely focus on either resi, commercial or asset. But we do believe right now, now's the time to build on your business. Thanks again, Shubs, for sharing your best practice. Give us an insight on how you've got to be crowned a champion. I know that this is just the beginning, even though it's, you seem like you've been doing it for a little while. Really excited at what's to come. So to everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you do have a topic you want to discuss, please email us at brokerbulletin@lmg.broker or direct message us on Instagram, which is @lmg.broker, and our producer will make sure we answer as soon as possible. If you like this episode, make sure you rate it and follow us in your favorite pod store. Thanks again, Shubs, and look forward to working with you in the next year and beyond.
Thank you, Leigh. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to Broker Bulletin. We would hate for you to miss an episode. Subscribe to Broker Bulletin in your favourite podcast app. Has this episode been helpful? We'd love you to rate and review us. It'll help us deliver content that's useful to you and help others discover us. If you have great ideas for topics worth tackling or have burning questions you'd like addressed on an upcoming episode, reach out. Links in the show notes. See you next time.